Hello. So, quick video. The next deadline is at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, so I'll do a quick Game Week 26 review and then some thoughts on what I'm going to do for 27. So, 26, I got a red arrow again, and I don't like red arrows very much. And this was a big one. 13 points. So, I lost 13 points to the field, which is the second biggest red arrow I've had all season, which is back in Game Week 4. I lost 16 to the field in terms of points. And that was when I went against Haaland. He was like 150% EO. Salah didn't come through. So that's the second biggest red arrow I've had, which in one sense, if that's the biggest I've had, I've probably not done too bad. And I always keep reverting to this graph from FPL Optimized, and it's amazing how quickly you lose perspective, or how quickly I've lose perspective. I think I've become very spoilt this season. I've got a good rank, still like 12.5k, keep kind of teetering around the 10k rank at the moment. But it's amazing, even given I've had all this luck, you'd think I'd have nothing to complain about at all. And I can't complain. I'm not allowed to complain. And yet I still hate getting red arrows. It still kind of stings and I hate it. But yeah, so I can't complain about bad luck because I've had shed loads. But yeah, so I've got red arrow, 13 points. I need to kind of start reviewing. I want to know, I feel like I need to have a review of my decision-making process and things like this, because now maybe I don't need to. Like, I've got two things going on here. Like, my luck, it's weird the way I feel like I've been really unlucky in the last few game weeks. And yet, actually, according to this, my luck has been kind of average. And actually feeling like I've been making bad decisions, according to this yellow line suggests that my decision making is actually getting better. If not, it's fine. It's kind of, I'm still doing pretty well with it. So maybe I don't need to do anything. Maybe it's just variance affecting, when you have bad luck, you think, oh no, it's my fault, my decision making is wrong. But maybe it's just bad luck. Maybe your decision making is fine. But for the last few game weeks though, like going back here to like game week 20-ish, it all began with this, when I was sold Jota to Mbomo or Sarr. I was trying to decide who to go for, Mbomo or Sarr. And back then I decided to go for Sarr instead of Mbomo, and Mbomo got this like 19-pointer. And that was that sting of like, damn, that's when it first started. And then the next game week, I had to decide between Raul Jimenez or Mateta. And I went for Raul Jimenez. And Mateta went off, and in the next two game weeks, Mateta scored 48 points or something like that, and Raul Jimenez got like 11 or something. So that was another massive swing. And the reason one of the reasons I didn't go for Mateta was because I'd already had Sarr, and I didn't want to kind of triple up on Palace. And by that point, we knew that Newcastle had won the first leg against Arsenal, so now I didn't want to triple up on Palace. And it's interesting when you go back through your decisions and the knock-on effects of everything. But it was that one decision to go for Sarr instead of Mbomo that led me to go for Raul Jimenez instead of Mateta. And then Raul Jimenez, I've discovered this game week that he's actually been low-key trolling me all season, even though I haven't kind of realised. I've kind of sung his praises all season. I've kind of liked him. I've owned him for a long time. But I went back through my season and he's barely scored me any points. Like every time I play him, he blanks, and every time I bench him or sell him, he scores. And I think he's massively trolled me this game week as well, because one of the reasons I went for Arteta instead of Glasner and benched Munoz was because of Raul Jimenez. I didn't want Jimenez playing Crystal Palace or playing Munoz, which is perhaps bad decision making. But this is what I need. I need to review my decision making process. But I don't like limiting my ceiling. And so he wasn't the only reason, but he was in there as one of those reasons why I didn't go for Glasner and I benched Munoz. And yes, he's been trolling me. And he's also just played 90 minutes in that game as well, which means there's a good chance he's going to get benched in the next game, because Fulham normally bench their striker whenever they have 3 games in a week. And Fulham have Crystal Palace, then Wolves, and then Man United there, which is, they've got a bit of a break there, so he might play there. But playing 90 minutes against Palace kind of suggests to me that he might get benched against Wolves. So I might bench him, and he's probably going to troll me again, because when I bench him, he's either going to play if I bench him, or I'm going to start him and he's not going to play. But yeah, so he's been a troll. But yeah, so I've had like going back from game week 20 onwards, I feel like I've had loads of little bad luck, lots of those stingy moments, like selling Wood to Gakpo, and then Wood immediately gets his hat trick and things like this. Like they're so stingy. And then this game week it was Glasner going for Arteta instead of Glasner. It's like bam, man, like 20 points right there, and benching Munoz. That's like a 33 points that I was inches away from, and then bam, missed out on it. And they really sting, but I guess it's just FPL. You just got to deal with it. Yeah, I guess it just happens sometimes. You got to make these decisions. Yeah, what did I want to say about that? But so the first thing I want to say about that is that according to this, my luck hasn't been that bad. It's been kind of average, and I think it's tempting in FPL to focus on the bad things and forget the good things. And I've been, I've had some good luck with like Trent. I have had Munoz has got me a lot of points in other game weeks. Sells. I've had Gordon for a while. He did well for me. Wood before I sold him, he did well for me. So and Bomo's 14 pointer I got. Some people missed out on that. So I think it's easy to forget. And I had Moyes and Emery. So it's easy to forget all the good times, all the good things. So my luck is probably kind of average. And you see some people with these graphs that it's like the mirror image of this. It's just like right down here, down the Formadillo line, they call it, right down here. And it's just like, that must be, imagine being like that. Like I can't complain at all. I was a little bit like that last season. This was my graph last season. So I wasn't playing particularly well, but my luck was really bad as well. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Just other than you would think it wouldn't sting so much, having all that luck and being in a good rank. You'd think it wouldn't bother me, but I still hate getting red arrows. Anyway, so I've got a red arrow. Yes. What else did I want to say? So I want to kind of like review it a little bit. One thing I was thinking is that, I've been saying this assistant manager chip isn't that swingy. But it felt quite swingy this time. That 20-point hit was like, oof, that felt like a big thing. But then actually thinking about it now, I don't think it is that big. I only lost like 2.7 points to the field with Glasner. Nothing from Arteta. I think actually what happened is back in game week 4, it was just Haaland, 150% EO. I lost 19, almost 20 points just from Haaland. Whereas this game week, it was loads and loads of little players. So it was Glasner, 13%, 20 points. Munoz, 20%. He got 13 points of Slot. Emery, Lewis Hall, Wissa, Cunha. All these little players here, all about 10, 20% owned, all returning. And then in my own team, a lot of my differentials, Mikolenko, Raul Jimenez, Sells, Dango, none of them returned. They all blanked. And Arteta, obviously. So I think it was one of those game weeks where just none of my differentials returned, and then lots of other people's differentials did return. So that was quite a big swing, I think. I've seen some people with like 100 plus points this game week. So that's quite annoying to get a red arrow when you've used a chip as well. But I guess it's just one of those things. So that is that. And in terms of like decision-making process, one thing I'll say first of all is like with the assistant manager chip, I think I'm still kind of building up my intuitions, maybe we all are, about how to play it. And I've been looking back through past season data and kind of building up an intuition like that. But I think I maybe trusted the bookies too much, because normally with my normal FPL, I look into the data, I use it as a guide, but I'll always use my intuitions. My gut gets the final say. I'll always trust my intuition at the end of the day. Whereas with the assistant manager, I mean, I was just going by the bookies' odds. And so, I mean, I was looking at Leicester and thinking, well, look, the bookies have got Leicester to beat Brentford as higher odds than Aston Villa or Everton were to beat Liverpool. And so I was just thinking, well, just go with that. But my intuition was that that's a crap fixture. Like, Leicester are crap. You don't want to go for them. But I was just kind of trusting the bookies. Same with Palace and same with Arsenal. And so in retrospect, I look back and think, well, I was a bit worried about that Arsenal game because they've got no attack and their XG recently has been really bad. It was like 7th worst, 1.17 XG per 90 in the last 6. And Crystal Palace, I did feel like they got every chance of getting a return there. I thought it probably going to be a draw. It's like 50-50. But I just trusted the odds. I just thought, well, the odds are so high for Arsenal. It's only about 7 or 8% chance of a loss. And I guess in terms of like, should I do that in future, or should I trust my intuitions a little bit more? Don't know. It's a tricky one. If how often are the bookies right? How often can you trust the bookies, or should you override that with your own intuition sometimes? It's a tricky one. So anyway, that's something to bear in mind with the assistant managers. Maybe look at the bookies' numbers, but maybe use your own intuitions as well a little bit. Could be something to learn there. Yeah, and then another thing I need to think about is limiting my ceiling. This idea I've had all season, which is that whenever I've got an attacker against my defender, I don't like it and I try to avoid it. I think I'm not going to be able to avoid it. Next game week, a lot of people are playing. You got a lot of Isaac versus Liverpool, Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal. There's a lot of teams that are playing each other, so it might be unavoidable. But the idea of limiting your ceiling, and so making sure you don't have attackers versus defenders. Maybe I need to rethink that. Because I was thinking of maybe playing Munoz as like a hedge. So I'll play Raul Jimenez and Munoz. And then if Glasner does well then if I've got Arteta and I've got Munoz, maybe Munoz might just soften the blow, which it would have done. But I kind of thought, well, that was probably unlikely, because if Fulham will probably score a goal, Munoz may not get a return, and it's like... So I kind of concluded that was unlikely. But yeah... Maybe using it as a hedge. So I tell you what it's like. It's like this chart here from 11ify I thought was really interesting. It's like I'd like to try to do my own charts like this, because this is for the assistant manager, and you can see the ceiling and the floor of like going for Van Nistelrooy or McKenna or Glasner, whereas Arteta, the floor and the ceiling are much more, lower, like much more condensed, narrower. But your average EV is still good. And so you get decisions like this all the time in FPL, where there are some safe picks. And this is basically lower ceiling but higher floor. Or you get some much more high variance picks where there's a very high ceiling but also a very low floor. And you have to make these kind of decisions a lot in FPL. And my usual response to that is... It just depends if you're chasing or not. If you're happy with your rank, go safe. And if you're chasing, then take that extra risk. And I think at the moment that's my conclusion. And so that's why I went for Arteta, because it was just safer. And that's why I'll probably captain Salah next game week, because it's just safer. It's kind of why I went for Wood, the higher EO, which is all a bit, some people might say it's a cop-out, but I'm just trying to play tactically and strategically at the moment. Just trying to play the right way. And so with the limiting the ceiling thing, maybe I should have hedged. Maybe that would have been the more sensible thing, rather than, because you've got a high variance there. Going for Raul Jimenez, you can either win big or you lose big. I was betting against Glasner and Munoz. I just went all in against Crystal Palace, and I lost big. And maybe I should have hedged it a bit more. Maybe I should have just gone for Glasner, and then just carried on playing Raul Jimenez. Or maybe I should think about them all in isolation and not think about them when they're together. Don't know, but I've got to figure that one out. I did the same thing in my FPL challenge team as well. I just went all in with Arsenal, block Arsenal defence. Arteta smashed, mate, rubbish. So that didn't work. Yeah, so that's just some things I need to start thinking about my decision making a little bit more. And one final thing on decision making is, like, I find it interesting the way I make decisions, which is that I feel like I've got like a little meter swing in my head that swings left or right between decisions. And then life comes at me and information comes at me, and all this information is coming at me, and it's just pushing this meter left or right. And because it's interesting how I was pretty sure I was going to go for a table bonus team in GW26 all the way through this. I've been quite keen on table bonus, and then something tipped me to Arteta, and it was basically Emery getting that draw and suddenly feeling like I don't want to push my luck now, and so I kind of just started tipping to Arteta. And then once that idea stuck there, nothing else pushed it back again, and it's like I just wonder why I kind of forgot my original reasons why I was going for table bonus. And it's interesting the way the wind blows and tips your meter left or right. And I just ended up on Arteta, and then the deadline comes and you've got to make a decision, and that's where it was. So I just went, I'll go with Arteta, that'll do. And I think 11 if I wrote an article about decision making, so I might have to read that, just to try and, I feel like I need to start every game week totally objectively, just like look at the data and turn everything off and just figure out my own moves, and then open up the floodgates to all the information, and then to see where things swing. Don't know. Anyway, that's what I was thinking about that. So that's a bit waffly. Next game week though. So game week 27. The big decision is captaincy. Are you just going to stick with Salah or go for Palmer? And then we got transfers. I'm probably going to I could sell Rodgers. So captaincy. Let's have a quick look at this then. 27. I think it's basically, I'm probably going to go Salah. I've got them quite close at the moment. If you forget James McAtee, the model is crap. Get rid of the minutes filter. So it's between Salah and Palmer. But basically, if I set my model to XGI data only, Palmer comes out about 2 points ahead. He's much better. Whereas if I set it to FPL points only and forget about XGI, Salah comes out about 2 points higher. Which is to say, Palmer's XGI numbers are actually still being fine. In the last 6 game weeks, 0.82. Salah's only been 0.7. So Palmer in the last 6 has had better XGI numbers than Salah. And he's about to play Southampton, who are really bad. So again, in the last 6, Southampton rock bottom, 2.5 XGA per 90 over the last 6 they've conceded. Really, really bad. And then Chelsea are the best XG per 90 over the last 6. Still, even though they haven't been performing that well, they're still cooking up a lot of XG. So in terms of pure XG, it's Palmer, probably, is the one to go for. But you can't go against Salah. Salah's the one who's actually converting. So I guess it depends how much you trust XG data, which I don't fully. Like, I think it's a nice guide, but there's something about Salah and his finishing ability and stuff is just, I don't know, and confidence. So I think I'm still going to go for Salah. Also, Newcastle aren't that great at the moment either. It's a home game, and Newcastle's defence in the last 6 is they're like 6th bottom, so they haven't been that good. Their average for the season they've been all right, but recently in the last 6, they've had relatively easy games there. Southampton and Wolves here, and Fulham, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, Man City. So their defence doesn't look great. So it will probably be Salah. But I do feel like the last few game weeks, last 5, 6, 7 game weeks, there's been this theme of like safety versus chasing, and the chasers keep winning. I feel like going safe keeps losing, and the chasers has just been kind of winning every game week. People going for like the short-term punts, the Matetas, the table bonus has been coming through. There was one game week when people bet against Salah when he was playing Nottingham Forest, and Palmer and Isaac came through. And I just feel like there's been lots of moments like that when the chasers have been rewarded. But is that a theme? Is that something to go with, or is that just variance and luck, and you should just stay safe? At the moment, I'm just going to stay safe, I think. But I am wary of that. But I don't know. I'm still pretty happy with my rank. I don't think I need to chase that much. So I think I'll probably just stick with Salah. And then in terms of moves, so Raul Jimenez, at the moment, I'm probably going to bench because I think he's going to be benched. I'll have to double check that, see if I can get some news on him. But he usually gets benched whenever they have 3 game weeks in a week. And so I think there's a good chance he'll get benched there. Maybe not. Definitely playing Munoz. Well, am I definitely playing Munoz? I think I'm playing Munoz. 27. Yeah, look, he's right up there now. Where's Mikolenko? Down here somewhere, probably. Right down there. Yeah. Yes. I'll be playing Mikolenko then. He's actually above. Oh, no, he's not above Trent. Oh, that's because Trent's got an ever so slight chance of not starting, but I think that's unlikely. So, yeah, playing Munoz. And then I think it's Rodgers. All the 29 blankers. I'm not selling Trent or Munoz yet because they got Southampton and Ipswich next game week. So it's Rodgers. So Rodgers replacements. I don't mind playing Wood, I don't think, against Arsenal. Well, I was going to bench him. I was going to play Raul Jimenez and bench Wood for this game week. But, yeah, Arsenal are pretty rubbish at the moment. The defence is still good, but they're looking a bit shaky. And I think Nottingham Forest, they're still scoring some good goals here. Yeah, so I think I don't mind playing Chris Wood there. And then Rodgers. So Rodgers replacements. If I just look up to game week 29, because there is a chance I might wildcard in game week 30. I know some people have talked about that being a bit risky to wildcard in game week 30. But I kind of think if there's enough benefit to wildcard in 30, like if I can actually sell some players, like I can get players like Munoz back for 30 if I sell him in 29, and if I can actually if I can find enough benefit, who's Liverpool got Everton in 30, so I don't desperately need Trent back if I sold him, but if I can find enough benefit to bring players back in for 30, I may wildcard in 30 because I kind of sense that we could probably make a pretty good educated guess as to what the double game week landscape will look like. I think it's like a 90% chance that blanks in 34 will just go in 33. There may be some difficulty predicting Newcastle. And even if some of these teams don't double in 33, worst case scenario, they're going to double in 36 or something, or one of these game weeks. I suppose they could end up just staying in 34 for some of them. But I think, I don't know, I think there's a chance we'll be able to make a decent educated guess by game week 30. So I may wildcard 30. But anyway, so I'm putting it from 27 to 29 for now. And Jared Bowen is the top of the list here. Like Salah, Palmer, and Mbomo. If you haven't got them, they would be probably get them in. But Jared Bowen is top of the list, which I don't mind, but I don't love it. Like I guess Leicester at home is good, and he's a 0.5 guy. Is he on pens now? I need to double check that. But he's a 0.5 guy. He's got Leicester, but then Newcastle maybe is okay, and then Everton away in 29 is not great. So Jared Bowen's an option. Brennan Johnson, I don't think is an option because you don't know if he's going to play or not. Yeah, I mean, I've just mentioned these names, but I probably won't go there. Madawaki's out. Foden's good. Foden's a potential option, but he's started every game since game week 16, I think. He's not absolutely smashing it, though, and he's very expensive. So if you've got the money, maybe. Bruno is one as well who's interesting. I've got the money for him. He's kind of a 0.5 guy-ish at the moment. He's not hitting the numbers he's used to in the past, but he does have Ipswich and Leicester, and he's playing Arsenal at home at a time when Arsenal are looking a bit shaky. So the Ipswich and Leicester games are nice. He's not bad, and if I wildcard him out in 30, but then the problem with Bruno is it does kind of force me into a wildcard. It's one more reason to wildcard 30. Whereas if I go for my original idea was to go for Semenyo, who's the next, him, Semenyo or Kluivert. And with them, I don't have to wildcard 30 if I don't want to because I've got Ipswich at home. Brighton away, Tottenham away, Brentford at home. It's okay-ish. Their defences recently have been all right. Brighton here are actually doing quite well defensively, but for the season they're average. Spurs are still a bit crap. I think Van de Ven and Romero are out until next game week. So for Bournemouth, they're still playing Spurs at a good time. And then Brentford are kind of average, maybe a little below average defence. So, yeah, at the moment, I'm still probably leaning Semenyo, I think. because he's also somebody that there's a good chance I'll keep him right up until game week 33. And so if he does do well and go up in price, I'll have him cheap for the bench boost all the way up here. And I can see myself keeping them. But if I'm going to wildcard 30 or 31, I don't have to do that. I could go for somebody else like a Bowen for 3 game weeks and then bring Semenyo in. The difference here is quite big. But Bowen predicted 18 points, Semenyo 13. It's a fair difference there, so maybe. I think it's just that Leicester fixture, really, and my model's picking up Newcastle as being an easy fixture, but that's debatable. So Bowen, Bruno, Semenyo, or Cliver, if you still fancy. I think I'm leaning to Semenyo for minute security. And then other names, Mitoma's still in there, but Bournemouth, Fulham, Man City, I'm not sure I love. Gibbs White, Arsenal, Man City, then Ipswich. Don't think I love that. Iwobi, Tavernier, Enzo. Another one I was looking at actually is Neto. I'd have to research it, but in the last 6 game weeks, he's had 0.7 XGI. Is he nailed for the next 2? Because if he is, a 0.7 XGI, or maybe Enzo, or somebody, if you can get him, that might be a nice punt because they've got 2 such good fixtures there. But the problem with Crystal Palace is who's definitely going to start, because Chelsea here, because here's Chelsea here. They just played Aston Villa there. Southampton here 3 days later. Could they rest some players? I don't know. They're not in the FA Cup, so they've got to rest there. But then their Europa Conference League round of 16 starts here. So there's every chance somebody could get rested in that Leicester game as well. I doubt Palmer will be rested, but I presume he'll actually play these games, or is he still not? I don't know. I need to look into this, but Chelsea players, if you can find out and get a good sense of who's likely to start these 2 games, there could be some Chelsea punts you could go for. But I'm not sure. Yeah, if I can feel confident that like Neto or somebody's going to play, then I could go for a Chelsea player, but not sure. Probably won't. So that's about it, really. Yeah. So, yeah, have to give it some thought, but probably Semenyo, maybe Bowen, maybe a Chelsea player. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. Yep, team looks okay. Game week 29, I am wondering whether to sell Isaac. That possibility has entered my head because I got him for 8.9. He's 9.5. I could say if I sell him for 9.2 and he actually goes down in the blank to 9.4, which he might do, then is it worth selling Isaac to Acuna against Southampton in game week 29 for a 0.2 mil loss? Might be, especially if there's a chance I'm going to keep Cunha the other side. If I might keep Cunha the other side, what is it, like West Ham, Ipswich, Tottenham, possible double, Leicester here. So that's a possibility. So that's something I'm going to kind of think about. And it may mean that I can keep Munoz or something like that and then just whip him back, just bench him and then whip him out in 30. So that is a thought. Oh yeah, and then one other thought is assistant manager. If anybody's on it still, game week 27, I think it's Palace, it's Glasner again. 37% win odds are massive. I know I'm going by the odds again, but so you need to use your intuitions too. But Glasner against Aston Villa, 37% win odds is way better than anything we've had before. The highest odds we had were like this 27-25% win odds. So anything over 30 is pretty good, and this is 37, so that's really good. Brighton against Bournemouth almost was a table bonus, but ended up not being one. But that would have been 45% win odds, which would have been really good. But so that's not an option anymore. So Glasner, then you got Wolves with 30 against Fulham is good odds, 33%. So, but I don't know why you'd go for that unless you fancy it when you got Glasner up there. Tottenham versus City if you fancy it, but again, I think Glasner's the best. And then Chelsea versus Southampton is the best safe bet, which I guess is fine. I think you could, but you know, it's got that Arsenal vibe about it again. It's like, can you really trust them? I think so, probably, but yeah, it's between Chelsea and Glasner though. Maresca and Glasner. Yeah. So that is all my thoughts. That's all my thoughts. So I will end it there. Okay. Yep. Quick turnaround. So I'll end it there. Okay. Thanks for listening. See you later. Bye bye.